Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. Today is our video. We are back after a cheeky wee day off for you from this to discuss the St Mirren game. And as always, me and thee, we will start off with the old oppositional preview and having a look at tomorrow's opposition, St Mirren. They actually come into this game on the back of a very good result versus Livingston, where not many people were expecting them to pick up any points, never mind 3, especially with the media summer hype up of Lyndon Dykes, who was in pretty much every single person's starting fantasy team league and only got 2 points for the game. And yes, there's some anger towards them because I'm talking about myself. But back to St Mirren then, shall we? And it was actually their new signing Richard Tate, formerly of Motherwell, who scored the only goal in the game and actually put in a very good performance. However, it does need to be said, despite having a great result, it was not a fantastic performance from St Mirren. They weren't exactly dominating the game, let's put it that way. In fact, it was more the exact opposite, as Livingston carved them open time and time again and created chance after chance, but couldn't hit a barn door with a shotgun. Honestly, look back on that game. Livingston should have won that game by 3 goals. Honestly, I have absolutely no idea how they managed to hang in and win that game, but they did, and full credit to them for coming in there and no performing well, but coming away from the points. That's a sign of a good, experienced team, and that's what they've done over the window. They've got a young, talented squad. We talked about that a lot last season in the SPFL show. They are trying to change and tweak their play style so it's not as tin pot as the majority of the Scottish League. But in this summer window, they've brought in a couple of experienced players, and I thought they shined during the hampering and constant pressure from Livingston. Now, regarding the actual side and how they set up in the first game of the season, they played a 4-2-3-1, which was eventually forced into a 6-3-1 after the constant pressure for Livingston, especially when St Mirren took the lead. And you know what's quite weird? Their actual go-to and how to actually get the ball forward and try and get on the attack was very similar to what we tried to do versus Bayer Leverkusen. Play it off our striker, which in our game was Morelos, but in their game was Big Obi, as we call him in the SPFL show. He's to hold up, and then the springing, quick, attacking players that surround them then fired out and wide, and that is how they tried to go after Livingston. And to be fair to them, they did create a couple of opportunities on their own as well, including smashing the post from 4 yards out. So I think it's going to be safe to assume they'll be lining up a very similar way versus Rangers. The 6-3, pack in the middle of the park, trying to make it as difficult as possible, but then looking for those quick counter-attacks to try and get in and behind our attacking fullbacks. Now, we mentioned earlier about their new signing Richard Tate, but it's another signing I think we need to mention in today's video, because there's another St Mirren signing that's coming to Ibrox, probably more motivated than anybody in that dressing room combined. Now, just in case you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm of course talking about the Viking himself, Mr. Anik, whose contract expired and went and signed for St Mirren when it was heavily tipped that he would gone down south. But no, he had a point to prove, and one of his first things he said when he signed for St Mirren was how motivated he was to show that he should have been given more of a chance at Rangers. So yeah, I thought that was going to be worth mentioning. The Viking will be looking for revenge at Ibrox, but let's hope all he leaves way is 0 points and 5 goals conceded. Now, regarding the rest of the St Mirren team, it's mostly a clean bill of health, as manager Jim Goodwin has actually spent more time talking about what isn't here than what actually is. And the person he was referring to isn't here is the Celtic forward Bio, who they wanted to bring in on loan in this game for Rangers. That is what they were hoping to be all done and dusted, but as Bio is going away to the second league in France, it leaves just Big Obi and Junior Morelos. And with that being said, that's us all done and dusted with the old oppositional preview. Now, it's time to turn our attention to what matters most, and that is of course Rangers Football Club. And starting off from a Rangers perspective then, let's pick up where we left the St Mirren preview, talking about the strikers and their frustration not being able to get their striker in the door. Well, it's the exact opposite at Rangers Football Club, as everyone is absolutely buzzing as we sign 2 very good strikers, and we've had an update regarding who we should expect to see tomorrow. Now, unfortunately for us all, the gaffer has confirmed the game has came too early for Roof to be involved in the game tomorrow. Now, if you actually follow Roof on social media, especially on his Instagram, you will know he is absolutely chomping at the bit to play for Rangers, and he's just gushing and just speaking so much praise about the football club online, and he just cannot wait to pull on that shirt. But unfortunately, he won't be making it versus St Mirren. But there is some good news, unexpected good news, especially if you tune into this channel, because we spoke about this before. But Cedric is not only ready for tomorrow, but it's been heavily tipped and hinted at that we'll see him in the starting 11. Now, me personally, I would love to see him in that starting 11 tomorrow. And if you actually take a step back and you think about it, it makes so much sense to start him tomorrow. And it's the exact same situation as Leon Balogun found himself in when he signed on the dotted line at Rangers. Now, as we all know, Leon Balogun signed, and just a couple of days later he was thrusted in to the starting 11, and by God, did it look good versus Aberdeen. And that's because after like the COVID and all that stuff happened, he was back. He was a part of the league restart. He was playing week in and week out, and he had his match sharpness up here. Well, the big man Cedric is the exact same, as he's not only been playing games but scoring goals as recently as July, including a hat-trick. So Steven Gerrard has a very, very interesting decision to make. Does he go with the hot hand in Cedric, who's flying and he's at 100%, or does he go with Alfredo Morelos, who, despite that Bayer Leverkusen performance where it spread throughout the entire team, he was also very, very good versus Aberdeen. Now, in saying that, and speaking of Alfredo Morelos, we on this channel of course have to discuss Steven Gerrard's post-match interview after the Bayer Leverkusen, in which he said this about El Buffalo. Everyone knows his head has turned for sure, there's no denying that, but we just move forward. My focus is on the team and the players that want to be here, and my focus is certainly on Mirren, end quote. Which in and itself is an incredible soundbite and a pretty damning statement on the Alfredo Morelos situation that we all find ourselves in. But honestly, I'm not surprised at all that it was said. Yes, I understand why it's dominating the news, and yes, I understand why it's pissing some people off. But at the same time, as we all know where we stand with Alfredo Morelos, he will remain a Rangers player until his value has been met. The days of us punting our best players for pennies is over. But what I would also like to point out is what Steven Gerrard said after that explosive soundbite and damning statement on Alfredo Morelos that's absolutely everywhere and dominating the news, because Gerrard was then asked, does he think this is affecting his performance on the park? And this is what Steven Gerrard said in the same interview that's just getting lost in translation. I don't think so. I think Alfredo's professional enough to block out the noise and focus. He hasn't had the best of games tonight, but we haven't as a team either. There is no fingers pointed at anyone. We've given it our best shot and unfortunately we fell short. We all have to improve, but Alfredo needs to remain focused, end quote. And I just felt that was important enough to mention, because everyone's getting ready to crucify the lad and say that he's not trying, but you've heard it for the gaffer. He is trying for every single minute that he still is here. He just had a bad game versus Bayer Leverkusen, but as we already mentioned in the video today, he was pretty damn good versus Aberdeen and done a lot of selfish running. So aye, that little key phrase there as well, remained focused, I think is pretty telling and leaves the door open for seeing Alfredo tomorrow. Which at this point in the video, you channel legends know already what I'm about to ask you watching today's video. Now you've heard a wee bit more about the Alfredo Morelos damning statement, and you've heard that Cedric is eligible and fully fit and ready to go, but Roof can't play. Now you know a little bit more about a striker situation. Who do you think / who do you want to see start for Rangers? Is it going to be Alfredo, or is it going to be Big Cedric? Now, while you guys are hopefully getting your opinions out there, I'll give you mine very, very briefly, even though I've already said it throughout today's video. I'd personally love to see Cedric be given an opportunity and a chance to shine tomorrow in a game versus St Mirren that he should get chances for. And if the chances does fall his way and he can go ahead and grab an early goal in his Rangers career, this already confident player could go through the roof, lads. And that's very promising for us. And when I actually think about it from the Morelos perspective, this could be the best thing that could happen for him as well, because we've seen now when there is a striker to challenge Morelos, when Jermaine Defoe was scoring goals left, right and centre within the first 6 months, every time Morelos was on that park, he was chomping at the bit to answer that competition, and that is when we saw the true best of Alfredo Morelos. These European performances followed after Jermaine Defoe was doing bits in the league. So in a weird way, Cedric getting the start ahead of Alfredo tomorrow and maybe going ahead and grabbing a goal or two might not only be the best for Cedric, but also the best for us and Alfredo. Because as I've said many, many times here on this channel and discussed with you guys down in the comment section below, we don't know when this transfer saga of Alfredo Morelos will be officially over, but whilst he is here, it may as well be amongst it and doing what he does best. But now it's time to transition away from the striker conversation, and sorry for spending so much time on it, but it is such a massive, massive subject, and I just want to share my opinion as a fan with you watching today's video, so we can have that conversation on who should be starting tomorrow and what you think about everything that's going on. But it isn't Gerard's fuller comments on Alfredo Morelos which is getting lost in translation. There's also the small matter of fact that it's not just the striker position that may be changing. There is a fuller 5 injury/injury doubts for the game tomorrow. Now, we've already addressed Kemar Roofe, and don't worry, he's not one of the 5 injury doubts or anything like that. They're just building his fitness up, very similar to what we've done when we signed Hollander. But there is a fuller 5 players, and the first one up that is officially ruled out of this game is, of course, Jermaine Defoe. Now, I was fortunate enough to actually see Jermaine Defoe behind the scenes during the Rangers store opening at Ibrox, and shout out to Rangers as well for bringing me along. It was a fantastic experience and seeing what was going on, and he confirmed that he is very, very close, but yeah, he is officially ruled out of the game tomorrow. Someone else who is ruled out of this game tomorrow is Ross McCrory, who's expected to miss out after picking up a little niggle in training. But Ross McCrory's little niggle isn't the only one affecting the squad. Nah. Big Alan McGregor apparently picked up a little niggle in the game versus Bayer Leverkusen and is listed as a doubt for the game. So we may, just may, get to see Big John McLaughlin in between the sticks making his league debut. But thankfully, the last 2 players that we actually need to give you a wee update on regarding their team status is a lot more hopeful for the game tomorrow, and it's not really a potential injury, it's more of being rested and carefully managed, and that is of course Stephen Davis and Philippe Hollander, who both returned to competitive action after spending time out injured. Gerard wouldn't confirm or deny if they were going to be a part of the game tomorrow. They're just being managed carefully to make sure they don't re-aggravate any injury they had. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Glenn Kamara is also eligible to play after serving his suspension versus Bayer Leverkusen, but with the injury doubts and the potential resting of players, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what the starting 11 is when it's announced. Now, with that being said, now that me and thee know just a little bit more about the fixture tomorrow, now it's time to put the coconuts on the table, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time for me and thee to try and predict the game versus St Mirren. While you guys are hopefully getting your thoughts and opinions out there on the score and the goal scorers, I will give you mine very, very briefly. Despite St Mirren, again, respectfully picking up a very good 3 points versus Livingston, they dug in, they showed their true grit and determination. I think Rangers are going to get back to scoring goals for fun in this game, and I'm actually going to go big. I'm actually going to go with Rangers 4, St Mirren 0. The clean sheet streak in the league will continue. In my opinion, I'm expecting a dirty double from Big Cedric. I'm expecting a goal from Hadji, and I'm expecting a goal from the other guy. That guy. I thought it was up here level, but it was down here. It's going to be Ryan Kent. And with us now having our say on the game, let's jump over to Twitter then and hear from the people. There's still 38 minutes remaining and there's 1,606 votes. Thank you so much for getting involved. 1% votes for draw, 3% votes for a St Mirren win, but the far and away winner with 96% of the vote is a Rangers a home win. It's good to see some positivity, lads. I'm expecting it, but still very good to see. First one comes in as well. It's a brilliant bit expectation to have. Ewan McKenzie writes in 5-0 to Rangers. That's it. Matt writes in 2-0 win. Cedric and Hadji to score. Last 2 games against St Mirren were 1-0, so hopefully a more comfortable win than next time. Alex writes in 3-0 to Rangers. He goes Caberi on steroids, aka Cedric, to score 2, and Ryan Jack Thunderblast from 30 yards out. Stevie Brown, shout out to him and Andy by the way, he writes in 3-0 to the famous mate Kent and Lytton to get 2. David White writes in, I reckon it'll be a destruction derby. I say we'll destroy them 6-0. Marker down for the season. And peddling back a wee bit, what a game Destruction Derby was, by the way. Vinny's. But just me? Okay. Steve-O writes in 4-0 Rangers, CJ. Why not? John writes in 3-0. Cedric, Hadji and Tavernier with the goals. I'd love a Tav goal. Mark Kelly writes in 4-0 to Rangers. Keep up the good work on the best YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Mark Kelly. Lewis writes in 2-0. Roof and Kent. And they will sit in and it will be boring to watch, CJ. Well, Roof's actually ruled out, mate, so I'm going to swap that out for Cedric. You're welcome, bud. Welcome. Gustav writes in 4-0. Cedric to score 2. Hadji and Scotty Arfield getting a wee bit of love. We'll scroll a wee bit further down to give more people a chance. Stevie RFC writes in Cedric up top. We can't afford to start Buff if he's no interested, CJ. Comes in from Christoph. He writes in 4-0 to Rangers. Seems to be a very, very popular scoreline on this one. John Sharp, however, writes in 3-0 to Rangers. And the last one we read out in tonight's video, scroll all the way down here, and we'll stop it right here, And it comes from the man, the myth, the channel legend, Callum Stewart. He writes in 6-0 to Rangers. Hopefully St Mirren try play football like they usually do. If they don't, then it'll be 3-0. CJ. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You've heard from the people. You've heard from myself. If you haven't done so already, you know what to do by now. And as always, I've been CJ Nova 92. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.